Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, let's have a genuine discussion. There are 6 truths about living alone that no one tells you but everyone should know. When you live alone, the first thing that greets you is silence. This isn't the kind of silence that occurs when you pause the TV or when a conversation ends. The topic of living alone as an older person is one of those things that people don't really prepare you for. Society paints this picture of independence, and sure, there is beauty in that, but there's another quieter side. This is a deep, pervasive silence that permeates every area of your house and life. At first, it may seem odd, even unnerving, as though the lack of noise brings an unnerving clarity. You hear sounds you might not have previously heard, like the faint creak of floorboards, the refrigerator's hum, and the wind rustling the windows. But it's not just about the physical quiet. It's about the inner quiet that emerges when one is free from the incessant din of other people's demands, expectations, and views. You are left to think alone, and the solitude might be frightening. Address things you've been avoiding for years, like, what do you really want? Who are you when no one else is around? In this stillness, you start to realize how much of your life has been shaped by outside forces. You've been influenced by the voices of family, friends, coworkers, and society, but now those voices fade and you start to hear your own. The silence is an invitation to go deeper, reflect on your past choices, reevaluate your values, and reconsider the path you want to take going forward. In this quiet space, you start to notice things about yourself and confront your fears. What do you believe in when no one can disagree with you? Over time, silence teaches patience, resilience, and the beauty of being completely present in your own company. You can only start to grow into the person you were meant to be by acknowledging your regrets and looking at the dreams you may have put aside. This process is difficult, but it is essential. What used to seem empty becomes to feel liberating. It takes time for the quietness that once appeared so weighty to transform into a friend of space for clarity and a haven for your spirit. But as you learn to sit with the quiet, you find a power inside yourself that you were unaware existed. Living alone, particularly as one ages, may cause a wave of loneliness that is deeper and more enduring than most people expect. The lack of the little commonplace relationships that many people take for granted is more significant than just being physically alone. The silent times of group laughter, the sound of someone passing through the home, and the casual breakfast chats all disappear, leaving a void in their wake. This loneliness, which can sometimes feel almost intolerable, isn't just about missing company. It's also about the deep sense of isolation that can set in when you realize that while your circle of friends and family is getting smaller and busier with their own lives and the invitations that used to be sent, so much of the world keeps moving. The days may blend together in a rhythm that seems disconnected, the phone doesn't ring as often, and people may no longer be able to gather together so readily. The simple act of cooking dinner can become a poignant moment as you prepare a meal for one and sit at a table that used to hold more chairs. Holidays and milestones hit particularly hard. Birthdays that were once celebrated with a room full of laughter now passed quietly, marked only by a card in the mail or a brief phone call. Special occasions that were once filled with tradition and togetherness can feel like painful reminders of what's been lost. Even though its lessons are harsh, loneliness serves as a teacher because it highlights the frailty of human connection and the fundamental need for companionship that all people have, regardless of how independent they think they are. It takes away the distractions of everyday life and forces you to face your innermost feelings, which makes you long for the things that a sincere discussion cannot be purchased with money. A cozy embrace, a disturbing sensation of vulnerability may accompany the experience of being really seen and understood by someone who cares about loneliness. You're more conscious of your own mortality. A deeper understanding of how much you rely on others, even for the smallest things. Living alone means there's no one to share the burden when things go wrong, no one to notice if you're unwell, no one to reassure you when doubts creep in late at night. Yet in the midst of this, there's a hidden strength that begins to emerge. You learn to sit with the loneliness, to acknowledge it without letting it consume you. You develop a resilience you didn't know you had, a capacity to find joy in your own company and meaning in even the smallest of moments. When you live alone, one of the most striking realizations is the sheer freedom that comes with it. It's the kind of freedom that many people dream of but few truly understand. Until they're immersed in it, you are the captain of your own ship, the architect of your days. You decide when to wake up, what to eat, how to spend your time, and when to call it a night. There's no one to consult, no compromises, to make no schedules, to coordinate for the first time, perhaps. Apps in years, maybe in your entire life, every choice is entirely yours, but freedom, as exhilarating as it sounds, is also a weighty responsibility when there's no one else around. The decisions you make or don't make are all on you. There's no one to blame if you skip a meal, leave the laundry undone, or binge watch TV instead of pursuing a goal. That autonomy can be both empowering and overwhelming, because along with the liberty comes the realization that you must now be accountable for everything. Down to the smallest detail, you're free to explore new hobbies. You have to find your own rhythm and reasons for waking up in the morning, which can feel like both a privilege and a burden. You can choose to reinvent yourself or just unwind without explanation, but you also have to deal with the difficulty of organizing your days and finding meaning in them. There are no expectations to meet or a built-in routine of taking care of others that naturally shapes your time. At first, the independence may be intoxicating. An exhilarating rush of independence allows you to decorate your space however you like, spend hours alone without interruption, and enjoy the joy of being unapologetically yourself. However, as the days go by, that same freedom can start to feel like an endless, boundaryless space that requires you to be deliberate in determining what you really want out of life and then work to create it. Additionally, there is the surprising aspect of freedom. It takes courage to fully embrace this freedom in order to trust yourself to navigate life's challenges without depending on others to guide you. When you have the freedom to choose, you are also free to fail, make mistakes, and feel the full force of your decisions without a safety net. You start to realize that freedom isn't just about doing what you want, it's also about knowing what matters to you and having the discipline to pursue it. This kind of freedom challenges your strengths and exposes your weaknesses. When you live alone, something amazing happens. You begin to reconnect with parts of yourself that may have been buried under the weight of obligations, routines, and the noise of daily life. Solitude creates a space not only in your home, but also in your mind to rediscover the hobbies and passions that once ignited your spirit. These aren't just activities, they're pieces of who you are waiting to be uncovered and nurtured again. Without anyone else's schedule to prioritize, you have the time to focus on what really interests you, that dusty guitar in the corner, the drawing pad you haven't touched in years, the stack of books you've been meaning to read. All of these things beckon to you in the quiet. There are no deadlines to fulfill, no audience to please, no pressure to be flawless, just you and the satisfaction of doing something because it makes you happy. Rediscovering hobbies are about rekindling the fire, not merely passing the time. Perhaps you've always enjoyed painting but haven't touched a brush in decades. With a peaceful evening ahead of you, you find yourself sitting at an easel, blending colors and losing track of time, or maybe gardening becomes your haven, a place where you can get your hands dirty in the earth. Watch this journey back to your passions can be unexpected. You may discover new interests you never knew you had, and cooking may change from a daily task to a creative adventure where you experiment with flavors and techniques. Life grows under your care and you feel connected to something bigger than yourself. Writing, whether in a diary or tales, may help you process your feelings and ideas and get a better understanding of who you are. The great thing about living alone is that there are no interruptions or judgments. You may construct a model aircraft or dance in the living room while singing at the top of your lungs without anybody judging you or telling you it's a waste of time. It's a freeing experience that lets you rediscover the unadulterated joy of taking care of yourself. From knitting a scarf to learning to play the piano or doing yoga, hobbies and interests provide your days of rhythm, a goal to strive toward, and a feeling of progress that is all your own. They also give you a sense of purpose and success. As you immerse yourself in these pursuits, you begin to see how much they nourish your soul. They remind you of who you were before life got busy and highlight the things that make you unique. More importantly, they help you develop a relationship with yourself by teaching you to value your own company and find fulfillment in quiet moments of creativity and exploration. When you live alone, especially as an older person, you quickly realize that even seemingly insignificant routines, like making your bed and making your coffee in the morning, take on a whole new meaning and significance. Even in the absence of big plans or busy activities, taking care of a houseplant becomes a cornerstone of your day. These modest actions provide you structure and a feeling of success while serving as a reminder that life is made up of these minute transitory moments. A stroll to the mailbox might turn into a gathering. Even the sound of rain hitting the windows or the mere act of going outdoors with the air on your face and the crunch of gravel under your feet may take on a richness you may not have previously noticed. Because it disrupts the stillness and gives you a feeling of life going on all around you. The sun shining through the curtains becomes something you cherish. When you're alone, even moments of self-care, like cooking a meal or taking a long bath, take on a different energy. You do these things for yourself, not because anyone else is looking or expecting you to, but because you deserve to nurture and care for your own well-being. This change in perspective transforms small, everyday actions into acts of self-love and resilience. Previously mundane tasks like grocery shopping or running errands now carry a deeper significance. They require planning and effort, but they also serve as opportunities to interact with the world and exchange pleasant words with others. A blocked toilet or a flickering light bulb are no longer simple fixes. These little obstacles, which you must overcome on your own, will test your patience and ingenuity. They will make you realize how capable you are, but they will also show you how much you used to depend on other people to share the quiet. You become more conscious of these little things when there is no noise, no footfall, no little shared activity. Details that you would have overlooked in a busy home now vividly stand out and become a part of your everyday experience, such as the ticking of a clock, the way the floor creaks under your feet, and the faint rustling of the wind outside. While the big things in life may change or fade, the little things are always there to anchor you. These small moments, which are frequently missed, are where life unfolds quietly and meaningfully. Little rituals like watering the garden, journaling before bed, or even just lighting a candle can become sources of comfort and stability. Living alone rapidly teaches you that life is unpredictable and that being unprepared may make little annoyances into significant problems. When you don't have anybody else to rely on in an emergency, your capacity to foresee and handle unanticipated situations becomes one of your greatest assets. Being prepared for the unexpected becomes more than simply a practical necessity. It becomes a means of self-preservation and empowerment. Begin with the necessities for your house. Having tools on hand, knowing where the circuit breaker is, and knowing the fundamentals of home maintenance are not just useful skills, they are essential. The act of preparing your space for these possibilities gives you peace of mind. Small things like a leaking faucet or an unexpected power outage can feel overwhelming when you're alone. It's not about anticipating problems, rather, it's about making sure you can manage them when they arise. Your health is a key component of independence. Anyone may have unforeseen injuries or diseases, and while you're alone, you need to be very attentive about them. Simple actions like keeping emergency contact information close at hand, managing minor medical conditions, and maintaining a well-stocked first aid kit may make a big impact. By maintaining your health and getting regular checks, you may be as prepared as possible to handle any obstacles that may arise. Another crucial issue is financial planning. Living alone entails taking on all financial obligations, and unforeseen costs might throw everything out of balance. Accumulating an emergency reserve, rapidly effective budgeting, and emergency preparation are essential. It's about building a safety net for yourself so that an unexpected auto repair, medical expense, or job loss doesn't become a catastrophe. Emotional resilience is your shield, while financial readiness provides the assurance to face the future fearlessly. Mental readiness is equally crucial since life is unpredictable. Living alone frequently requires you to process and handle life's unexpected events alone. This is where developing a strong sense of self, engaging in mindfulness exercises, and learning stress reduction techniques come in handy. When you know how to maintain your composure in uncertain situations, you become less reactive and more capable of coming up with solutions. Community while living alone stresses independence. Establishing connections with neighbors is crucial since nobody flourishes in isolation. Support is another crucial component of being ready for the unexpected. A safety net is provided by keeping in touch with loved ones and knowing who to contact in an emergency. Recognizing that being prepared involves understanding when and how to ask for assistance is more important than depending on others for everything. Planning for bigger events is another way to be prepared for the unexpected. Retirement, life changes, mobility adjustments, or changes in your social circle. Living alone sharpens your ability to think ahead, anticipate needs, and act decisively when the unexpected arises. It's about creating a life where surprises don't throw you off balance, but instead serve as opportunities to demonstrate your resourcefulness and resilience. Planning ahead for things like downsizing, making your home accessible, or creating a living will not be easy, but they are necessary. Being older and living alone is a voyage of self-discovery. It is a life that challenges you to embrace solitude, not as a burden, but as a chance to learn more about the world and yourself. From the quiet that builds resilience to the little moments that make up your days, every part of living alone serves as a reminder of your strength and adaptability. It pushes you to be ready for anything, to find joy in the simple things, and to cultivate meaningful connections. Although the journey may not always be simple, living alone teaches you to rely on yourself while appreciating the community and support around you. It also challenges you to face your vulnerabilities, celebrate your independence, and face each day with a fresh sense of purpose. Living alone as an elderly person is an opportunity to recast the narrative of solitude as one of empowerment rather than loneliness, a chapter in the tale of a life well lived.